Mercury retrograde ends. Sorry, Mercury. I'm just being honest. So what I'm going to do, because I do need to pick up my notes really quickly, is advise all of my new listeners and those who have never done so before to go to luanovapodcast.net and read the entire disclaimer. Make sure you have read it at least once. Yes, on older episodes, you can hear me actually go over the entire disclaimer. It is quite long, but I like to advise people of that. That way they're not, confused as to why I'm the way as to why maybe I am not so open to certain types of people being here in my realm. Because the Lua Nova realm does not welcome just anybody. That's why. Okay. And what I mean by that is, you know how witches don't have doormats that say welcome? That's for a reason. We're very particular about the energy that we invite in. And so as a practicing witch, that includes this podcast, I'm very particular about the energy that I invite in. So that is why I'm always pushing people to read the disclaimer at least once. Okay. But one moment, new moons, let me get my notes.
Lua Nova Codes of Manifestation. Códigos de manifestação Lua Nova.
Code 999. My ancestors walked before me and cleared my path to success. New moons, if you haven't already, check out the bonus episode that I recorded for you for Halloween. I know quite a bit of you checked it out based on what I can see, but just for anybody who is typically looking for episodes on Mondays, anytime we do have bonus episodes, they do air on Fridays. And as I mentioned, Court of the New Moon, which will be the spinoff of Lua Nova, will be coming in season 4, and it will be airing, I think I said twice a month. We actually still haven't locked that down yet. Twice a month or more than that. And that will be on Wednesdays. Okay. But we won't worry about Court of the New Moon just yet because we have retrogrades that we need to discuss. I have done a ton of episodes on retrogrades and today is no different. So rather than teach you about the retrogrades, I'm just going to kind of let my guests speak for themselves, but also I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, I guess, advice or what I suggest for you as not only a practicing witch, but a tarot reader and somebody that studies astrology quite a bit. So Jupiter's retrograde begins on November the 11th and it will end on March the 11th of 2026. And Mercury's retrograde begins, November the 9th, but let me see when it ends. It ends on November 29th, and the post-shadow period of Mercury's retrograde will be December the 16th, okay? So whenever there's a pre-shadow period and a post-shadow period, that's when things are still a little bit weird, meaning that it still has that retrograde energy both before it even begins and after. Okay, so yes, the planet technically will go direct, or the planets will technically go direct at different dates, but do still expect certain energies to linger. And nobody that's an astrologer that I've come across yet has been excited about Jupiter's retrograde. I, on the other hand, see it a little bit differently, but it could be because I'm a tarot reader, so I'm kind of used to things being shaken up quite a bit. The Tower card moment is necessary. Now, if I get a Tower card for you today, I don't want you to freak out. Nobody ever wants that card. There's that card, and I think the Death card that people immediately tense up at. The Death card is actually one that you do want to see in a reading because it means that you are completely clearing out one path of your life and one chapter and moving on to the next. So it is not actually whatsoever a scary card to get. Think of Scorpio's transformative energy, which we are currently in. Something I want to discuss with you all before we jump into the retrogrades themselves is that, of course, I have my new moons that were excited about the 777 series because you've been manifesting nonstop, focusing on yourself, not focusing on the nonsense and the noise around you. And like I said before, it's one thing to be informed. It is another thing to be completely engrossed in negative energy and allow negative people to farm that energy. Okay. And there's the other side of my listeners and clients that are struggling. And so I'm going to kind of go briefly over a discussion that I had with a client. And I do have permission to talk about this, okay? I'm not going to say their name or anything like that, but they asked me, is there a time during retrogrades, any retrograde, where I should stop focusing on manifestation whatsoever? meaning maybe I don't do the journaling and the affirmations, and I'm not focused on writing down my goals because this client in particular is frustrated with where they're at with what they want to manifest. And I would advise those of you who feel that way to take this retrograde period to not necessarily stop altogether, but maybe take a break. Okay? Because the energy of Scorpio being about transformation sometimes means that we do need to stop. You could be pushing yourself too hard. You could be forcing something that's not really for you. And you know better than I do if you're feeling that way. You know that if, just as an example, you're wanting to manifest a new relationship, but deep down you don't really feel ready, then you're forcing a manifestation that won't really fit you. The mind can manifest anything. Neville Goddard said that. That is not something I came up with, and I'm sure many people before him have said it and many people after. The mind really can manifest anything. And I'm sure you have examples of this. I want you to think of an example of a time in your life where you manifested something accidentally, good or bad. Anything from, man, I really want coffee, and somebody just randomly buys you Starbucks. You know, we don't drink Starbucks over here, so that's not an endorsement. But you know, I'm just saying as an example. But that is an example of you manifested, but it wasn't purposeful. You weren't, for instance, putting in the law of action in place here. Okay, and there are times when you want to manifest something big, but there are many things like the shadow work that you're still working on that are holding that back. And so this whole season has been a large focus on your shadow work, on healing. Healing is another way of saying shadow work. And so it doesn't matter if you too were grieving, you know, your furry best friend or the job that you lost, or you're just in a part of your life where maybe things are not going the way that you want it. And I don't even mean just for 2025. I mean, in general, I do want you to take the time to wait. Not saying don't do your affirmations, but I've told you before, when it comes to affirmations, if you don't believe them, then actually all you're doing is creating more negative momentum by continuing to say them or write them. If you don't really think that you are ready for something, then you are creating an energy of not being ready. And that's actually completely okay to not be ready for something. One of the biggest things that I am trying to manifest at the moment, and when I say trying, I mean that the effort is there, but I feel like I still have some work to do emotionally. It has not necessarily caused me to be disappointed, but it has caused me to over criticize myself. I already know. Yes, I'm a Virgo. I know. I am very critical, and yes, I clean the top of my refrigerator all the time, and I like things orderly. I am the stereotype of what Virgos are like. Yes, I get it. But when I am not in a place that I want to be at when it comes to anything I want to manifest, I do take the time to wait and maybe redo my plans. And also understand that when it comes to the universe and the energy of the universe, that they sometimes have other plans for you. And if you're new to my show and you're not familiar with what I mean by when I say the universe, I'm referring to Source. Source is what many of you refer to as God. Source is not him, her, they, them. Source just is. Source is an energy. And so Source then has given us, and this is just my beliefs, you can have your own beliefs, our spirit team, meaning, you know, everything from your spirit guides like Hoshi was to me, and maybe your pet is to you, to, or, you know, not, some of you are uncomfortable with the word pet, you're familiar, you know what I mean, your ancestors, your guardian angels, those are all the universe. And so they work together to help us get where it is we want to be. They see us as these humans that are just completely lost, kind of like we're Sims characters. And so that's kind of how you have to see your whole life is, I don't play the Sims, but I'm familiar with, you know, the concept. And I was big boomer energy right now. If you're new to the show, I am a young millennial. I'm not a boomer. But I want you to,